All right, starting top 25 countdown with Washington here. Let's get into it. Jimmy Lake, first year head coach, spent the last 2 years as defensive coordinator for Washington. Takes over Chris Peterson. Had a good 6 year tenure with Peterson. Peterson's a guy that um, he was really good for Washington. He always made them a top 15, top 20 team just about year in and year out. And Jimmy Lake could keep him there. He can make him better, make him worse. I don't know. We'll see. It's hard to tell with new head coaches. Reason for optimism for good first year. They got some good players coming back, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that they can be a good team, especially because of their defense. In the Pac-12, it's not necessarily the toughest conference. I think that they can win at least 8 or 9 games to start out, and that's a good starting point. If he can, I don't really know his recruiting skills. We'll see how he does in the next couple classes, and I think obviously recruiting is important. So recruiting will determine, I think, how good Lake makes this program in the future. All right, so let's get in the offense for 2020. It has some question marks. Jacob Sermon expected to replace Jacob Eason. Sermon's a guy that I heard pushed Eason a little bit for the starting job. Eason's a guy that was supposed to be better, maybe what he was at Washington. He has some good talent, but he never really realized that talent fully. I think Sermon is a guy that can be a solid quarterback, but I don't expect him to be anything great for Washington. I expect him to come in, maybe do what's needed, but not do anything extra. Just make the throws, check downs, do what he needs to do. I mean, Sermon's a guy that I don't really know too much about, but I don't really think he's anything special for Washington. The offense is expected to be run heavy. John Donovan wants to run the ball a lot, new OC, and Richard Newton is a guy that averaged 4.3 yards per carry and had 10 touchdowns. I expect him to be maybe a breakout candidate for Washington, especially if they're on him a lot. Strength of the team should be the defense, the secondary especially. Not that the front seven is bad, because it definitely has potential. You got five-star Sabo Smalls coming in. The secondary, though, I think is going to be the really strong point, because they got Elijah Molden, who I think is going to be at the very least a day two pick in the 2021 draft. And just overall, I think this defense could be really good, and the secondary I think could be like a top five secondary in all college football. The front seven has some guys like I already mentioned, Smalls. We'll get him into him a little bit here, but at D tackle and linebacker, they got some depth. Maybe not anything great as far as pure talent, but I think they got some depth and come in. If you have some injuries, you have guys that can come in and do fine, and that's important up front, because you can't really be weak. You have to be strong in football up front. That's where it all starts. It's the foundation. Let's get into recruiting here. 16th nationally, second in Pac-12. The class is headlined by five-star DN Sabo Small. Some people consider him an outside linebacker. He's a guy that can stand up rush, put his hand in the ground. He can drop back in coverage. He's a pretty versatile guy. He should be able to make an impact in 2020. I like him a lot. I think he's ranked like 29th or 30th on 24/7. I think he should be like a top 10 or 15 player in the country. I like Smalls a lot. And you recruit 16th nationally. That's good, not great. That's not going to get you to playoff. Or it might. You can, if you get the guys you want, you develop them. It might, but for the most part, you should be able to recruit in top five, top 10 if you want to get to the playoff. But we'll see what Lake can do here in the next couple of years with recruiting. It's very important for a head coach to recruit very well in college football. You can't really be good without recruiting. It's kind of hard. Let's get into the 2020 schedule here. You got Michigan starting off. Michigan's a team that's kind of been a joke of the college football's landscape, and it's not that they've necessarily been bad. It's just because they haven't been able to win big games. And Michigan is a team that Jim Harbaugh is a very experienced head coach, whether it's NFL or college football, and I think Jimmy Lake's inexperienced in that regard. So I see him coming in, Harbaugh, and I think he's going to get the dub in UW. Sacramento State, a team that I don't really know anything about, but I can figure out that Washington's talent-wise should be able to dominate them. So I'm going to give them a win there. Utah State, another team that maybe talent-wise can't really compete with Washington. So I'm going to give Washington the win there too. Oregon, I think, is going to be really good this year. It's not that Washington can't beat Oregon, but I think that Oregon will be able to beat them. I just think they're going to be too good. Oregon State's a team that hasn't really been good for like the last 5 or 6 years. I don't really trust them at all. I'm going to give Washington the win. Utah, now should be a good game. I think Utah and Washington are pretty even. This is almost like a coin flip, but I'll give Washington the loss here because I think Utah is a team that last year showed to be really good, and I think they are maybe working to be that consistent, good top 20 team there in Utah, and I'm kind of interested to see what they do. I'm going to give Utah the win. Arizona and Cal, next 2 games on the schedule, I'd say they're about in the same boat. Arizona and Cal, they're okay. They're not anything great, but I think Washington should be able to beat them. I'm going to give them wins there. Stanford, another team. You don't really know with Stanford. Stanford is a team like every 3 or 4 years comes out. They're all of a sudden a really good team, but most of the time they're not really anything special. And I don't think they're going to be anything special this year. I'm going to give Washington the win, but you never know. Stanford's always a kind of annoying team to try and figure out. You don't really know what you're going to get with them. USC USC is a team that really underperforms based on the prestige they have in the program, the recruiting, what they should be doing recruiting wise. Anyways, it's ridiculous what they've done. They can't really recruit in California, which is for USC should be like a sin because that's ridiculous if you can't recruit in California or USC. That should be your hotbed recruiting ground and recruit top 5, top 10 nationally consistently. So I'm going to give Washington the win there. I'm not really happy with what's going on in USC. Colorado, Colorado's consistently a solid team, but I don't think they'll be able to beat Washington this year. I wouldn't be surprised if Colorado upsets them though. And Washington State, here in the Apple Cup, that's always a good game. I'm going to give Washington the win. Not that Washington State can't beat them because that's a tough game every single year, but um, I'm going to give them the win there. So overall, we're going to go with 9-3. 9-3 is the record I'm predicting for Washington. They could be better, could be worse. We'll see what Jimmy Lake does in his first year, how the offense looks. But overall, we're going to go with 9-3. I put him barely into my countdown at 25. That's mainly because I'm not really exactly sure what we're going to get. I think the defense is good. The offense is what's going to make this team either top 15 or possibly not even the top 40 in the nation. So thank you. We'll see how they do this year and come back top 24 with Arizona State next time.